started talking about steps you take, mistakes you make, the heart you break, and the price you pay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ray Lynch and Ellen Arnold, Miracles in Recovery.
Oh, I've been there. That's why I'm here.
My name is Ray. Welcome to Miracles in Recovery. On this show, we'll be discussing all aspects of addiction and recovery and how they affect our communities, families, and the relationships within them. This show will hit home hard and make you look at yourself like it makes me look at myself every day. So I guess ultimately it starts by looking in the mirror. I don't even remember when or why my using began. I guess that really doesn't matter. Living through it is what matters today. Being a miracle in recovery. If you are struggling with addiction, this is where you need to be. The first time I tried heroin, I got the feeling that I've heard everyone speak about. It felt as though I finally found peace in my scattered thought process. I never figured I would be addicted that quick, but mentally something happened, and I obsessed about it from that day forward. When you have the thought to use, or when the thought of using is there, it doesn't leave until you do. The very first time I used, it was the beginning of the end. My active addiction put me in places I didn't want to be, with people I didn't want to be with, and made me do things I didn't want to do. Do I have your attention? During my addiction, every day when I woke up, I told myself I would not do what I did yesterday, today. Every night before I passed out, I told myself I would do better tomorrow. The cycle of addiction, failure, and remorse continued year after year after year after year. I had my horrific bottoms. When I told myself I couldn't possibly get worse, it always did. My addiction was a progressive disease that always got worse over time. Looking back, I found it was amazing what became acceptable to me. And like I said, it put me in places I didn't want to be, with people I didn't want to be with, and ultimately I had to do things that I didn't want to do. Addiction allowed me the ability not to have to be responsible for my actions, or so I thought. It put me in places, made me do things that affected me, that affected my life, that made me want to hide, made me want to come in a little bit further, made me want to just close that door around me just a little bit more. And some of the things, I'll share with you some of the things that ultimately I look back on now, and I didn't think that they were that major then. Just like the one time that I was a fisherman and we were doing gear work, and my little brother, who was maybe 9 at the time, he looked up to me like I was his hero. In my fit of need and obsession, I drove down South First Street, whatever the name of your street was that you went and copped on, put that name in there. And I drove down. I saw the person that I usually got whatever off of. They were more like monkeys at that time, and they were all over the place. So all you had to do was roll down your window when they were there. And I got what I needed to do, and I drove down, and I did it with my younger brother in the car. I didn't think anything of it until I got clean. I didn't think that I was harming anyone. I didn't think that anything that I did would have an influence on anybody. Fortunately enough, my younger brother never chose to use heroin, so I didn't show him that it was good. Maybe I scared him. I don't know. I don't want to rationalize here. That's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is share who I am, how it affected me, and how we can get to a better place. Fortunately enough, today, I have 26 years clean. The last day that I used was February 28th, 1989. I'm a miracle. I'm here to say it works if you work it. Just don't get ahead of yourself. But if you're still using and you don't want to be there, that's our business. We can help. Call 855-STOP-USING. That's 855-STOP-USING.
You're listening to Miracles in Recovery. Ray and Ellen will be right back.
It's the simple things in life, like the kids at home and a loving wife, that you miss the most when you lose control.
Heroin. My drug of choice when I couldn't get my doctor to keep prescribing my pain meds. After 4 years of being addicted to painkillers, my doctor would no longer prescribe to me and urged me to see an addiction specialist. But I wasn't addicted. I tried doctor shopping, but couldn't get the physician to write for me. Each visit, a new pain. When that didn't work, I turned to heroin. 5 years later, I was on the street. No family, no friends, nobody in the world that cared for me. I finally found a treatment center that worked for me. I'm a recovering drug addict and have been clean for about 18 months. My counselor still requires I take a drug test every 2 months. Now that I have my family back, I'm not willing to let them down again. With consistent and clean drug tests, I know I can make them proud.
This message is sponsored by Physicians Choice Laboratory Services, a toxicology and genetics lab servicing thousands of physicians nationwide. Call 855-900-2927 to learn more about PCLS today. Call 855-900-2927, 855-900-2927.
If you'd like to reach Ray or Ellen, 1-855-STOP-USING. 1-855-STOP-USING.
I felt so alone, scared, angry, full of self-pity. I just wanted to die, so I took another drink. Then I heard about AA and went to my first meeting. The people there talked about those same feelings. I was no longer alone. They gave me help to stop drinking and hope to start living. Alcoholics Anonymous, it works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or aa.org.
Don't turn us off. Keep listening because you will hear something that you need to hear. Need to hear.
And traps you can fall into.
Don't turn us off. Miracles in recovery. Help. Miracles in recovery. Hope. Change. Don't turn us off. Keep listening because you will hear something that you need to hear. Don't turn us off. Keep listening because you will hear something that you need to hear on the Miracles in Recovery radio show. Today we're going to talk about the isolation of addiction. And speaking from my own point of view, being a recovering addict, I remember jokingly saying I had 6 brothers and sisters, but I was an only child. So I was the only child of 6 brothers and sisters. That's what happened because I isolated myself so far away from them. Addiction made me somebody that I didn't want to be. And I really didn't want to be that person around my brothers and sisters who I probably was embarrassed to be around. Everything about addiction is like a catch-22. You don't want to be around people because you don't want to see them that way. And then when you're around them, you're trying to be somebody that you're not.
Well, and it seems to me like a lot of anger comes out at that point in time, too. You know, when you are with your family, there's always fights going on.
I didn't want anybody to focus on what my problem was, so I made sure that I showed everybody else's.
Yeah.
You know, I would walk into a room and go, oh, Karen's wearing red today. And that was my older sister, and I would pick on my sister wearing what she was wearing or the way that my brother's hair looked or something like that to take the focus completely off of me. And of course, it drove everything chaotic in the house.
For the families, the shame of having an addict in your family who's out of control and doing probably illegal things and things that people that you used to know wouldn't understand. If you're not living with active addiction, I don't think you can begin to understand the insanity. Gradually just become accustomed to. But there is a lot of shame, and a lot of us family members tend to isolate as well. You know, you don't go out anymore, you don't hang around with the same people because they don't understand what you're going through.
Give us a call at 855-STOP-USING.
Or visit our website, www.miraclesinrecovery.net.
I think we all judge, but unfortunately enough today, I think my judgmental eye is a little bit different than what it used to be. One of the greatest things that was given to me, one of the gifts that were given to me was that I'm responsible for me today and not anybody else's understanding of how I was or who I became. I'm responsible to show them who I really am. Through my addiction, I was absolutely not the person that I am today. I'm responsible for that because it's part of my past and it was me. But I don't carry it as a cross or as a badge of courage or anything like that. I know that there's somebody out there that's, if I walked back into the same place that I walked out of, they'd say, I knew you'd be back. That's the wrong kind of judgmental tone to have with addicts because the thing about it is that we do mess up.
If you'd like to speak to Ray and Ellen, call now, toll free, 1-855-STOP-USING. They're taking your calls now, 1-855-STOP-USING.
It took me a long time to get 30 days clean. And it took me a long time to get 6 months clean. It just took years. And fortunately enough, today I'm 23 years clean and I don't embrace the same lifestyle that I did. that isolation lifestyle. I mean, if I'm isolating today, I know that there's a reason for it. And I know that it's because something's going on in me that I need to check. Or put it this way, I'm surrounded with people that have the awarenesses to let me know that in a positive way, not to drive me even further away. And I think that's what happens with addiction. I was isolating within the environment of my family, and I think my family was pushing me away while pushing themselves out of the neighborhood.
Because of the shame, because of the judgment. And I was an extremely judgmental person before this happened in my family. I would see other people with addict children, and I was sure that they were doing something wrong. They were bad parents. Now I know it had nothing to do with that. It's just the way things ended up. I still tend to, when I'm upset, isolate. My program friends will kind of leave me to it. They expect me to find my own way out of it.
I think sometimes it's healthy to not necessarily isolate, just to exclude yourself from something for a point of time so that you can maybe run it around in your head and see what's going on. When I'm doing something like that, it's because I'm not paying attention to the readings or the teachings that have been taught to me. Give us a call at 855-STOP-USING.
Or visit our website, www.miraclesinrecovery.net.
If you're out there and if you're hiding and if you're isolating and if you're not doing the things that are suggested, then you're putting yourself in harm's way, because that's how I used to get myself in trouble. I would say, oh, I'll use that program when I need it. Well, guess what? I needed it 4 days ago, and I'm still not thinking that I need it for another week. So I'm in trouble.
And it's the same for me. It truly is. If I'm not calling my sponsor when I've got a problem, I'm going to get back into my old stupid way of doing things. And it didn't work. I have to do the things in my program as well. If I don't call my sponsor, it's because I don't want to hear what she has to say. You know, she's very wise and she will tell me the right thing to do. And if I don't want to do it, then I'm not calling her. But she's not going to bug me about it. She's going to wait because she knows I'll come back around eventually.
I think that's what a great sponsor does, that they allow you your own insanity in order to be able to say, hey, until you've squeezed enough stuff out of yourself is when you'll start asking the right questions.
Right.
I can't force a question on you. I can't force you to look at this. I can't force you to look at that. I was one of those people that hated authority figures. So if somebody told me this is what they thought I should do, I'm doing the exact opposite. Today, my sponsor allows me to grow within myself to be able to ask the proper questions. And if it takes me through trials and tribulations of a lot of pain, he usually always says at the end of it, I knew you'd get to that point.
You have to walk your own path, and the journey is yours.
More Miracles in Recovery. Ray and Ellen will return in a moment.
Everything you love starts to disappear. The devil takes your hand and says, no fear, have another shot. Just one more beer.
I suffered from chronic back pain for several years. I was prescribed countless pain medications. Before I knew it, I couldn't go a day without the medication, and I was miserable. I was embarrassed. I was addicted. I started seeing an addiction specialist who prescribed me medication to stop my need for these pain medications. I'm hopeful I will not always need it, but I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. My physician performs regular drug monitoring to help maintain my quality of life and ensure I won't get on the wrong track again. Each day, 46 people die from an overdose of prescription painkillers in the U.S. Don't wait until it's too late. Get help today and let drug monitoring keep you on the right track. This message is sponsored by Physicians Choice Laboratory Services, a toxicology and genetics lab servicing thousands of physicians nationwide. We know that there's life behind every sample, and your life matters. Call 855-900-2927 to learn more about PCLS today. Call 855-900-2927. 855-900-2927.
My name is Brianna and I'm 7 years old. When you lose control of your drinking and drugging, you hurt everyone, and you need a time out. Find a 12-step recovery meeting or call 855-STOP-USING. 855-STOP-USING. They can help. Thank you.
Oh, I've been there. That's why I'm here.
Miracles in Recovery. Back to Ray and Ellen.
Janice, you were talking something about bringing awareness into schools.
It's twofold. There's, always bringing in impact groups to the students so we can raise awareness, and then also having parent education nights. But we're trying something different, and we're actually in the process of writing a program that combines Recovery High School, which is its own separate entity, into a high school. If a teen decides, or a child, a preteen decides that they want to go up to this safe person, whoever's designated, to say, I am an addict, I'm not in trouble yet, I'm not in the judicial system, but I don't want my parents to find out, they can be enrolled in Recovery High School. They sign a contract with the school, they do mandatory random drop, they go through an A or AA program in the school, they go through an education, they have to speak with a counselor, this whole program. If they fail at any step of the way, then the parents are notified, and the parents are educated about this program upon admission into the school. So they sign a waiver allowing their kids the opportunity to do this.
Ray and Ellen are taking your calls on the air now. You can call toll-free 1-855-STOP-USING, 1-855-STOP-USING.
There's a program up in Massachusetts that's something like that my niece went through, but she didn't go through as a admitted addict. So there was like a peer group so that the addicted student didn't feel threatened in any way because they had people within their own peer community that would assist them if they were ashamed or afraid to say that they used again or anything like that. There was an organization of children, I say children, but they were adolescents or young adults that were involved as well.
How do you get the funding for that?
We're looking at writing for some grants. One of them is a drug-free partnership, and you have to show what you're going to do for the teens in your community. So what we're doing is partnering with high schools, a charter program. They're working with us to write the grant and then fund the program. Programs right now, kids go to Recovery High School, which is its own program. Sometimes it's even just at their own home online. We want to bring it into the school so they don't leave their school and they don't have to, it's more of a on your honor type of a program. Peers are used, like you said, for peer-to-peer support, and there's no fear. It's like an immunity process. There's no fear of being arrested on campus. There's no fear of your parents finding out unless you don't comply.
And you have that peer support, too, so they're not ostracized and isolated.
What about the teachers in general? Do the teachers know about this?
Not at this time. We haven't rolled out the program. I know that at the charter school where we want to benchmark it or trial it, there is a parent university where the parents go and learn about drug addiction, and then there's a 4-hour program that the principal makes each teacher go through about drug addiction and how to handle addicts and how to spot an addict and how to help them get the help that they need.
I think that's awesome, like in a small environment, like you said, a charter school.
Right.
The high school that I used to coach football at had an enrollment of anywhere between 41 to 4,700 kids at any given point in time.
A third of those are addicts.
And that's a little bit tougher environment to be able to, for lack of a better word, try out or instill a program like that.
Right.
The parents are probably all a mess as well.
You always start small and work it into a bigger program.
To speak to Ray and Ellen on the air, you can call now. Toll free 1-855-STOP-USING, 1-855-STOP-USING.
The prison program that we want to start, there's a small private prison here that's willing to allow us to bring in a program that brings a therapeutic community into the environment, brings the addicts away from the other criminal element, and puts them through like a teen challenge type of a boot camp, but we need to get the funding for that as well. So we're in the process of writing that program too. If we can get it and benchmark it, we'd like to have other communities use it.
Well, and if you look at statistics about prisons, I think somewhere between 70 and 80% of the people in them right now are there due to crimes committed in the process of procuring drugs, burglaries and things like that, or because the addict had to get the drug. Of course, it's bad behavior and of course it needs consequences, but these are people who are very sick, their brains are broken, and I think what you're trying to do with bringing the therapeutic community in is a wonderful thing. I've often thought when people go to prison, they come out worse than they went in. So what is that accomplishing? You're just warehousing them.
Yeah, it makes Stephen a better criminal.
And makes them a better drug addict because they're meeting other addicts, they're getting wider contacts. I know that kind of happened with my daughter. She was not in prison, but in a county jail for almost a year. There was a drug program there. She bounced in and out of that, never really completed it. I just think there should be more of that to help people get better.
Absolutely.
If you have a question for Ray and Ellen, you can reach them on their website, miraclesinrecovery.org.
This old boy stood up in the aisle, said he'd been living a life of denial, and he cried as he talked about wasted years. I couldn't believe what I heard. It was my life word for word. And all of a sudden, it was clear.
Heroin. My drug of choice when I couldn't get my doctor to keep prescribing my pain meds. After 4 years of being addicted to painkillers, my doctor would no longer prescribe to me and urged me to see an addiction specialist. But I wasn't addicted. I tried doctor shopping, but couldn't get the physician to write for me. Each visit, a new pain. When that didn't work, I turned to heroin. 5 years later, I was on the street. No family, no friends, nobody in the world that cared for me. I finally found a treatment center that worked for me. I'm a recovering drug addict and have been clean for about 18 months. My counselor still requires I take a drug test every 2 months. Now that I have my family back, I'm not willing to let them down again. With consistent and clean drug tests, I know I can make them proud.
This message is sponsored by Physicians Choice Laboratory Services, a toxicology and genetics lab servicing thousands of physicians nationwide. Call 855-900-2927 to learn more about PCLS today. Call 855-900-2927, 855-900-2927.
Miracles in Recovery.
Call us 855-STOP-USING. Come to a meeting. Maybe we can share with you how we were able to get to the other side and be able to trust people and be able to trust ourselves. And if you want what I have, then do what I do and come to a meeting. Open up your ears a little bit and you'll be able to hear the welcomeness. Come to a meeting. Open your ears a little bit more and you'll be able to hear the trust.
And the acceptance. They want me there and they love me. They aren't judging me.
Call us 855-STOP-USING. 855-STOP-USING. Come to a meeting. Find that loving place.
They aren't judging me. They want me there. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I really belong here and they love me.
Come to a meeting.
And when you're ready for that direction, you'll take it.
That's how recovery works.
Yeah, I've been there. That's why I'm here.
Miracles in Recovery. Once again, here's Ray and Ellen.
The isolation of addiction.
As far as family members, if you are looking for a place to go, you can also call into your local AA intergroup. They generally have information about Al-Anon and Nar-Anon meetings in your area. You can also go on the internet, and if you go to the alanon.org website or the naranon.org website, they have links to meetings in your area. It's very, very easy to find a meeting schedule.
Go.
And even the most isolated areas generally have at least one meeting a week. There is a phone number for a person that's associated with each meeting so that if you need information, how to get there, what do you do, that type of thing, they're more than happy to talk to you. Also, there are in bigger areas beginner meetings where you can go and learn about how the program works, because it can seem very overwhelming when you first go, because there is a structure to the program. There are things that are done in the meetings. They may not make sense to you at first. I did not go to a beginner meeting. I pretty much crawled into the rooms of Al-Anon. When I first got there, I walked in the door and everybody was smiling, laughing, hugging each other, and my first thought was, well, these people are way too happy they can't help me. Little did I know, as I sat and listened, most of them had been where I was or worse. They tell us to go to at least 6 meetings before you make a decision not to go back, and generally if you do that, you'll stay, because you do find the hope that you need to keep going.
Ray and Ellen are taking your calls live on the air right now. The number is 1-855-STOP-USING. You can call toll-free 1-855-STOP-USING.
Everywhere and anywhere, we had to travel 2 hours to go to a meeting or go to another fellowship. We ultimately started our own, and now there's 3 to 4 a day.
For Al-Anon, there are generally at least 2 meetings a day in the district that you can go to.
With the amount of meetings that are out there, there's that many more people that could benefit from them that don't use them. You said beginner meetings. When I started, I was the beginner meeting because there was very scarce meetings.
They say that every addict or every alcoholic affects at least 5 people, probably more. The rooms of Al-Anon and Nar-Anon should be even more full than the AA and the NA. And I think that is in part because the families are isolating. They don't want to go anywhere and talk about this. It's too shameful.
Why would I want to go and talk about something that somebody in my family is doing or has done in the past when I don't want to look at it myself? There's no reason to isolate today. I mean, we've given you plenty of different avenues as to where to go to. One thing that I do know is that if I want to isolate anything in my way, I'm not going to use it. So you need to step up, step out. What's the opposite of isolation?
Fellowship?
Fellowship. Embrace fellowship.
Ray and Ellen are taking your calls on the air right now. You can call toll-free 1-855-STOP-USING, 1-855-STOP-USING.
Just want to put a scenario of isolation in your mind. Look at a home up north with all Christmas lights on it, the house all nicely decorated with lights and blinking and 15 cars in the driveway. And you see everybody all happy inside the big picture window, and the tree is there and they're handing out presents. And you see one individual standing on the front lawn, knee-deep in snow, with no winter coat and sneakers on, terrified to go and ring the doorbell. That was me.
Miracles in Recovery. Ray and Ellen will be right back.
I suffered from chronic back pain for several years. I was prescribed countless pain medications. Before I knew it, I couldn't go a day without the medication, and I was miserable. I was embarrassed. I was addicted. I started seeing an addiction specialist who prescribed me medication to stop my need for these pain medications. I'm hopeful I will not always need it, but I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. My physician performs regular drug monitoring to help maintain my quality of life and ensure I won't get on the wrong track again.
Each day, 46 people die from an overdose of prescription painkillers in the U.S. Don't wait until it's too late. Get help today and let drug monitoring keep you on the right track. This message is sponsored by Physician's Choice Laboratory Services, a toxicology and genetics lab servicing thousands of physicians nationwide. We know that there's life behind every sample, and your life matters. Call 855-900-2927 to learn more about PCLS today. Call 855-900-2927, 855-900-2927.
If you'd like to reach Ray or Ellen, 1-855-STOP-USING, 1-855-STOP-USING. If you have a question for Ray and Ellen, you can reach them on their website, miraclesinrecovery.org.
Miracles in Recovery is a Ray Lynch, Miracle Mike production.
Thank you for joining us on Miracles in Recovery.
You're never alone.
Hope is in your corner.